A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back once again to video games that are totally awesome. So I feel like that in this instance in particular, when it comes to the more recent side of video games, I feel like that there's been a good amount of titles that I've missed out on, or at least ones that I had only gotten to in more recent years because I was able to do so. And perhaps this is a good time for me to start talking about a certain title that actually did implement quite an ingenious idea. I'm specifically talking about Uplay's series known as YouTuber's Life. And while I haven't really gotten into the first game, but I have gotten into the sequel, which came out in October of 2021, and as mentioned before, this was a Uplay title. And while Uplay has been known for taking some good ideas and turning them into actual big-time games, it's fair to say that YouTuber's Life 2 unfortunately hadn't exactly panned out just the way that many would have expected. Some might find this to be a good game for what it is, but for the most part, this is more or less just something that happens to be a bigger world-building title as opposed to the original. Because unlike with what the original did, which is basically just a simple concept of becoming a YouTuber and utilizing the best of daily trends and having your own personal cameraman, in this instance, YouTuber's Life 2 takes on the role of an AI-assisted drone as your cameraman. Yeah, going from man to machine in this particular instance. And on top of having a simple old location here, for the sequel, it's a full city. NewTube City to be exact. Yeah, somehow they were able to get the rights to utilize YouTube as a whole. The name, the logo, and whatnot. But they didn't exactly get very far in terms of utilizing YouTube things in general. NewTube City just happens to be the main location here. Why they couldn't call it YouTube City is beyond me. Oh, but that's basically just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the many YouTube-esque things that we get to see here. Common references and rip-off names that just only sound like subliminal hints to various things on YouTube over the years. But apart from that, the idea of taking your own in-game character, a custom-made avatar in which I just simply named it after myself, but made him to be more feminine in appearance. The idea of YouTuber's Life, while it is an ingenious idea for a video game, a couple of things do stand out. For one, the idea of turning a YouTube-related career into a video game probably could have panned out a lot better had this happened more than 10 years ago. Because with this being 2021, a time when YouTube was not exactly at its best prime, it just seemed a bit hard to want to put something like this together. Knowing that we finally have games made on YouTube-related careers, or at least based off of certain YouTube-related stuff, is one thing, but the fact that it exists at all, at least is just another thing to take in. Probably for granted, but I'm more than willing to accept the idea overall. Anyways though, creating my own avatar and getting into the game for the first time, the plot does center around your in-game character being greeted along by residents of NewTube City and being guided around the place. A bit of a tour takes place before you eventually find yourself a nice home. A little apartment building in particular happens to be your main spot in which that you call your humble abode. You get ready for your YouTube career to start off. You're basically given a bit of guidance over the first few days worth of gameplay, in-game that is, not in real life time, in which that you are given some good instructions on how to make each and every day at NewTube City worthwhile. And the way to do so is that with using your AI-assisted drone, I named mine after Gygas, basically the main antagonist from Earthbound. What you and your drone do, in-game that is that you go around town, meet up with some folk that are all over the place, including some DJs. Yeah. We'll get to that part later. And there's even a scientist at YouTube City. Also something that we'll talk a bit more about later. But after these few days are over and after all of this stuff relating to content is made, including vlogs, gaming episodes, and whatnot, you do eventually become free to roam around as you please. And while the main missions do range from getting to talk with various characters in game, the main mission, of course, becomes abundantly clear after a few hours in game. But first off, we'll talk a bit about some of the in-game characters. Basically, the friends that you mingle with every now and then, and all the other residents of YouTube City. You have various people here and there to talk to. Such people will include Katya, Adam, Aaron, and even the mayor of YouTube City. But that's just a bit of a start here. As I mentioned, there are two DJs. DJ Cerulean, whom basically occupies her own yacht down south, as well as DJ Fox, who owns his own disco in the east portion of the city. Then of course there's the scientist, Dr. Ermengarde, whom himself, along with an android. They both basically work out in the lab, also towards the east segment of YouTube City, in which that same area also houses its own movie theater, the official city hall where the mayor works at, as well as an outdoor market, in which that occasional seasonal items as well as retro collective flea market items can be sold just as well. But if we want to talk about certain shopping, then there's plenty of spots for them. Plenty of spots for clothing, plenty of spots for video games, as well as computer parts, which will be necessary for editing. And there's also even some abilities for upgrading. There's a lot of good variables here and there that we could go into detail talking about. But the point is that YouTuber's Life 2 sets us on a mission in which that at first we get a bit of a basic setup here with the computer and eventually get into some gaming consoles along with the TV. We gotta spend some good money on that stuff. And remember, since this is a YouTube career, our videos have to be made worthwhile for the audience to watch. And that way, you can get more money as time goes on. And there's also some quests that you can engage in, many of which are optional, including package delivery services, some special tasks that you can do to earn some friendship points along with the residents of YouTube City, and with many other things on the line. You can consider that there are a good amount of opportunities awaiting for you to complete. But what I will say is that while I have managed to persevere in spite of the somewhat monotonous factor of this title, I have managed to get pretty far in this game. According to HowLongToBeat.com, the PC version of the game at least does clock in an average of around 18 hours 45 minutes to beat, which I find a bit hard to believe because my current playthrough of the game was spanned at over 40 hours of gameplay. Yeah, one might wonder how I've gotten to that certain point. Well, the thing is that for a game like this, each and every day gets to be at around 20 minutes on average, maybe up to 25. But that's mostly dependent on what you do, because after all, in-game, one full day can equate to as much as 25 minutes in length. And rather than spend a good 12 months in-game, it's basically 30 days per season. 30 days for spring, 30 days for summer, 30 days for autumn, and 30 days for winter. So if you do the math here, that's basically a good 120 days worth of time per year that spends in-game. And with 25 minutes, that adds up to a good 3,000 minutes, which divided by 60 for the amount of hours means in-game you could likely spend as much as 50 hours. And I will say I've actually spent more than a year in-game, up until the point where I basically just moved on. And because of that, yeah, some might wonder how I basically just abandoned it like I have done with other games. And for the most part, the main mission does come along. While there are a lot of people that you can meet and greet along the way, some of which will help you on your journey through your YouTube career, and others will basically ask you for certain help. There's a lot of different missions that do circumnavigate the many in-game characters that you go along with. There happens to be a certain cyber attack that goes on YouTube. Obviously, this is a made-up scenario that was made by Uplay and not exactly a real-life phenomenon, but some things have come rather close. Remember the infamous Lizard Squad disaster in 2014? Woo! That alone was pretty hard for all of us. You know, that's kind of the reason why my YouTube join date is incorrect. And even though I contacted them to fix it, not much has shown up. Anyways though, the mayor does task us with the all-important mission to find 5 people in YouTube City, ask for some hard drives, and with the combined power of all of these drives, a special invention made by Dr. Ermengardt will in fact allow for us to tackle these cyber threats once and for all, and prevent them from destroying YouTube. Sounds like a pretty simple plan for what it is, but oh man is it elaborate. I've mentioned before that some of the people that we meet along the way, like Aaron and Adam, they of course do have their own flash drives that we have to pick up. But remember, as much as with the missions that circumnavigate the many different people of YouTube City go around, this particular mission at first, with each individual person, we have to meet up with them first and establish some trust. Sometimes we can gain further friendship points by filling up their heart gauge up to the next level by gifting them certain things. You can look up on the official YouTuber's Life 2 wiki page in terms of whatever things that they like. And the thing is, 5 different characters are basically what we need to encounter. First off, we got Adam. He's the guy who works at Lead Software, who's basically a company that specializes in computer parts and hardware, in which that sometimes that you can purchase these things from the store or even through the Amazon service app. But basically speaking, these characters in particular, you not only have to adjust to their capabilities as well as to their interests, but these different missions that you do for them can range from anything. And well, while it is important for us to acclimate to their many different personality traits as well as their interests in order to understand them better, and more importantly, to obtain these flash drives, these secrets that will power up this device, there are still other challenges that come along the way. First off, I might as well mention, PewDiePie makes an appearance, along with his pug. Wow. PewDiePie is in this game. And it's kind of impressive that they didn't even change his name for the game. No, man. They got all the rights from Mr. Kjeilberg. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Anyways, though, that mission alone was pretty awesome. And the reward that I got from him was a nice big poster that I put in my room. Obviously, we do also got to mention the YouTube Play Button awards. The Bronze Play Button, the Silver Play Button, the Gold Play Button, and even the Diamond Play Button are all basically there for us to enjoy. Then, of course, it's not just with the giant PewDiePie poster, but tons of other things that we get just as well. There's also a point where, and get this, certain invaders come down, threatening to destroy the earth. And we got to team up with other YouTubers to defeat them, or to at least prevent them from doing such a thing like that. And there's even a point where all of YouTube City becomes hypnotized, unable to do anything about it. And it's up to you, as well as your drone, to find out what's going on and to get society back up and running in YouTube City. All you gotta do is talk with DJ Fox and he can put on some nice tunes for you. Yeah, this very same DJ will, by the way, also acclimate to your birthday. Yep, when you go to Galaxy Disco, a unique party will be held in honor of you at New Tube City. Of course, mine is Summer Day 4, which corresponds with June 4th, my own birthday. And so, it really did feel special just as much as the in real life stuff would have felt. And you know what? Looking back, I do know that this game was rather monotonous, was pretty big with its setting, as well as with the many changes that come around, including but not limited to the many events that spawn on a daily basis, the seasons that come and go, the occasions that settle around town just as well, and the many people whom you get to know along the way. You build up some good, trustworthy relationships with them, give them some nice gifts, maybe on their birthday or Christmas, and you have a lot of things here to work with. This really is quite a unique tale. A good way to correspond with what in real life events could you possibly do on a daily basis in some city. And I will say, having to play a lot of games, having to do a lot of things on YouTube, having to do a lot of work just to get paid more, and having to have a lot of people to talk to and to make good friends with. One could probably say that YouTuber's Life 2's own in-game events seem to share a lot of cross-connectivity with stuff in real life. But then again, it is more of a game than it is of a reality. But that seems to be the big thing about what most games will try to do. With the best of technological advancements, performance and graphic capabilities, as well as gameplay controls and functionality, amongst many other traits that inhabit most of today's games, the hardware and software capabilities, a lot of things just pile up into one big amalgamation. And I feel like YouTuber's Life 2 truly is quite a mystifying yet delightful treat to put together. I've made a lot of GWK content based on this one title alone, and I can't really say that YouTuber's Life 1 would be any better or possibly any bigger than what it is. I'd almost get the feeling that they ought to try YouTuber's Life 3 and make it a PS5 exclusive. I don't quite know exactly how that'll pan out, but one thing's for sure. With YouTube's current state as it is, with some things happening and some things that we don't need to happen, like random recommendations or the algorithm playing out, or the constant loads of politics or other such things that are actually illegal, whereas some non-illegal things are actually being deleted on the spot? I just don't even know at this point. But anyways, with all that I've said about this game, and all that I've had to talk about with YouTuber's Life 2, we can at least agree this was quite a unique game to play around. And I sure do hope if they do actually create another YouTuber's Life game, it could actually do way more and hopefully be even better than 2. But for my overall scoring on YouTuber's Life 2, 7.0 out of 10.1. Not exactly the best that it could have possibly been. While I can't say that YouTuber's Life 2 is meant to be a perfect title, it at least does deserve a pass for what it is and how well I've managed to play this game, and more importantly, the memories that I seemingly have gained from this title. I sure do hope that it does go down in history. Quite the unique idea turned into a game, but rather belated, was a bit on the monotonous and repetitive side, and more importantly, Uplay probably would not have been the most optimal choice for creating such a big game based on quite the big idea. Because with most YouTubers, they tend to do so much more than they ever could nowadays. So with that in mind, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow me wherever you can find me, and stay on the Hollywood side for more.